It is Friday, November 27th. The 2043 UN Gates Prize in Sustainability Innovation was announced this afternoon. Architect and activist Yesenia Hernandez received the call that her inspiring work facilitating collaboration between community stakeholders to rebuild and pre-build climate-vulnerable infrastructure had earned her the $1 million prize. The Hernandez family emigrated to the United States, matching with Galveston, Texas, through the pilot program of the Climigration System that won the inaugural UN Gates Prize in 2035. Yesenia studied architecture at Rice University, where she built a virtual world at the intersection of infrastructure design and community needs, hopes, and values. The design program elevates community input and provides a venue for a collaborative, iterative master plan process. In September of 2040, Hurricane Melissa, the first Category 6 hurricane to make landfall in the United States, breached the seawall and decimated Galveston Island and the Hernandez family home. Leveraging her relationship with officials in the city, Yesenia proposed a test run of her software to resounding success. Galveston was reborn virtually, and engineers, city officials, and hundreds of community members met together to iterate a thriving, resilient Galveston. The city now supports its own microgrid, using solar power and a wave harvest generator. A desalination system installed on the seabed of Galveston Bay provides water, and a canal system runs through a now elevated downtown area. Invitations for the most recent project using Dr. Hernandez's work went out this weekend, and stakeholders will gather in the VR space representing Bicol City, Philippines later this week. Up next, our lifestyle correspondent, Alan Franklin, will share.
All participants, please take a moment to put on your VR headset now. The game will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, I am Ava, your guide. Welcome to the central atrium of We Built This City. We would like to congratulate you for being selected to participate in this year's initiative. Over the years, our participants have contributed to making our communities more resilient to climate change by crafting affordable and sustainable built environments. If you look behind me, you will see different rooms that showcase our previous cohorts who worked on reimagining and rebuilding the built environments of Galveston and Okinawa. On the second floor of the atrium, you will find the prestigious UN Gates Prize won by our founder, Yesenia Hernandez. In your free time, you can explore these rooms one by one, but for now we need your help. Bicol, a region in the Philippines, is in desperate need to reimagine their cities after the onslaught of severe typhoons. The region is experiencing the irreversible effects of climate change, and it is only getting worse. 3 severe typhoons have already struck this year. The region's people understand that they can no longer build the way they used to. They need to reimagine their built environment if they want to adapt to the increasing severity and complexity of climate change. To give context and lead the blueprinting, we have a community member from Bicol. Please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Carlo Lopa. So excited for you all to help me rebuild a blueprint for the cities in my region. So, shall we start?
Sure, let me transport you to the Decision Hub. Welcome. In this room, you will be asked to recommend critical elements to rebuild the infrastructure of your region. Our engineers and architects have used Bicol's existing and projected elevation, plus their environmental conditions to curate options for you to pick from. Please feel free to browse the menus. I recommend starting with the materials menu.
Okay, got it. So for materials, I heard bioconcrete is a new state-of-the-art building material. So could you show me its stats?
Sure.
Okay, wow. I think it's too expensive. I don't think it will be affordable to most of the people from the region. So how about mycelium?
Here you go.
Okay, more affordable than bioconcrete, but I don't think it's as resilient to gushing winds and pouring rain. Do you have anything else?
This one might be good.
Oh, wow, bamboo. Yeah, I think that's perfect. Looking at the stats, it shows that it's affordable and durable, but also sustainable. So could I get a little bit more information?
I'm Nikki. I'm a sustainability engineer appointed by the UN. I'm familiar with a group called the Hilti Foundation that has been working on bamboo for the past 30 years. They found bamboo to be cost-effective and regenerative. It grows quickly, and engineers with Hilti have strengthened bamboo to make it resistant to strong typhoons and earthquakes.
Oh, thanks for that information, Nikki. Great. I think that sort of gave me confidence to go with bamboo as our material. So I think let's choose bamboo.
Got it. Now let's move on to choosing the structure. Here are some designs to choose from that mitigate increasing storm surges and rising sea levels.
Okay, the floating city is an interesting idea, but I'm scared that a massive typhoon would just wipe those kinds of islands out. So it doesn't really resolve our issues with storm surges and rising sea levels. So that's a no-go for me. A raised city, on the other hand, might be a good option. It resolves our storm surge issues and rising sea levels. However, I'm concerned that we will not really have any space to commune. Culturally, we have a really strong sense of community, and throughout the year, we have several festivals that involve parades, colorful costumes, lively music, and dances. Thus, I'm wondering if we'll have to give that all up. Secondly, we supply 95% of the world's abaca, which was dubbed the fiber of the future actually by the UN. So I'm wondering if raising our cities, then we'll have probably no place to like plant our abaca and consequently lose our most valuable livelihood. So actually laying all that all out, I'm wondering if this raised city is actually the most viable solution.
Hey, Carlo, it's Nikki again. As a sustainability engineer, one of my priorities is to ensure that when we rebuild infrastructure, we also rebuild more resilient community structures. We can match your community with UN subsidized programs that will fund the raised city model, but require municipally maintained common spaces, which will be perfect for your festivals and daily communing. I would also suggest adding vertical farming for your abaca plantations. The UN consistently identifies abaca as a valuable product and a source of livelihood for many Filipinos, and our sustainability partners can help you find grants that will subsidize the transition to vertical farming, and we can ensure that vertical farming structures will be resilient to typhoons.
Wow, Nikki, thanks. That's a totally great idea and piece of information. I didn't know that the UN had such an initiative. So okay, we'll select a raised city together with the suggestions of Nikki.
Okay, lastly, we want to know if there is anything else you want to add. Here are some innovative additions.
Okay, so we have to be careful here because this can add to costs. So what do you think we should add? Anyone from the group?
I would recommend considering mangroves for erosion control and storm surge mitigation. They're regenerative and they'll avoid those carbon taxes that traditional cement now incurs.
Oh yeah, okay, I agree. Let's add that.
I also really like the idea of adding greenery and trees around the homes. Those will act as windbreakers and will prevent the built environment from getting swept away.
Cool, I love that idea as well. Okay, let's add that.
This is great. Now, before we test this in our simulation room, we want you to deliberate on these choices together. So head over to the collaboration boardroom to discuss any biases you may not have noticed.
Okay, so what do you all think? Are there any assumptions or biases that we may have missed?
We might need to add some fireproof technology to our bamboo. It's a real possibility that everything could catch on fire, especially if a household appliance malfunctions.
Okay, let's add some fire-resistant engineering to our bamboo material. Anything else?
Additionally, we may be able to incorporate some tidal and wave energy generators into the new canals created after we raise the coastal areas of the city. Would you like the AI to calculate installation versus cost savings in energy?
Yeah, okay, that sounds great. I think the clean energy credits could make that a real possibility soon. So let's add that. And anybody else?
And as the mayor of Bicol, I feel obligated to remind you that the city council will need to look at the plans, and they'll probably look hard at the UN requirements for community spaces. The good news is that community support has been very high, thanks to game participants like you. Our region thanks you for our participation.
Awesome. thank you, Mayor, and everybody else who helped me in this process. As we say in the Philippines, mabuhay at maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Great work. I am going to collect all your inputs and put it into a simulation room for testing. We will build a model of your city in the virtual world and test it against the strongest typhoon to date. Then, we will see if it was successful in keeping people safe. Success. Your choices have met the necessary parameters and have contributed to the resiliency of the Philippines. We want to thank you all for participating. I am sure this will help guide our friends over in Bicol rebuild their cities to become more resilient, affordable, and sustainable. Here is your commemorative NFT coin as a prize for successfully curating a master plan. You are always welcome to come back as alumni of the game to explore more of the game hall.
All right. Okay. Thank you for participating, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that so-called experience. So before we officially end the presentation, we just want to share a process in getting to this final artifact. So I'll have Nikki and Keller walk us through it now.
Yeah, so quickly, you know, the development of our research question was a pretty fluid process throughout really the first half of the project. And it completely changed or continually changed in scope until we got pretty specific, as you can see. You know, basically we're attempting to answer the question of how to build and design cities in sustainable, resilient, but also culturally inclusive ways in areas that are facing increasing threats of climate change. So that was our research question. Our research method, you know, it was a four-pronged approach, really. Our team spent time scanning and building a library of signals geared towards material science and also emerging technology. But we also looked at our own experiences and our own personal interests concerning the threats of climate change. All of us come from different areas of, you know, mostly in the along coastal or island areas. We also worked independently, parallel prototyping to generate some provocative ideas. And then eventually developed this idea of a master plan game 2023, which is basically how we conducted interviews with engineers and community members and architects. And this eventually led to what you just saw right then, which was the master plan game 2043.
Thanks, Keller. So yes, over the course of our research, we repeatedly were reminded of the systemic effects of climate change, especially the ways that climate change affects cultural and social elements of communities. Our encouragement or recommendations for Autodesk and for the engineering community more broadly is to find innovative ways to incorporate the cultural and social needs of communities through truly direct participation, maybe through a game or another platform, and then integrate those with the myriad physical and structural innovations we expect to see in the coming years to make climate resilient, the climate vulnerable communities more resilient. So yeah, this QR code and the link that I will drop right now will take you to a prototype of our game. It is slightly less interactive than the one that we exhibited for you today, but there are a lot of little, there are a lot of extra artifacts that you can click on and look a little bit more deeply into. We had a lot of fun creating that. And I think that's it.